This is a full review of the Mercedes C-Class Estate as a facelift, because this one was missing in our coupe, convertible and the sedan presentation. Now the Estate for today, but of course in general also about the Mercedes C-Class facelift, an exterior, interior and the driving experience, because well, I like the coupe most from design perspective, the convertible from the joy, and the sedan maybe for its tradition, but the Estate will be the most practical one for most buyers probably. And everything of that we'll examine together in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! When I grew up, my parents owned a used Mercedes, and it was a red sedan, a little bit brighter in the color, but then also with the classic Mercedes star on top, and therefore this combination here with the classic executive grille and the red so much reminds me also of my own past. The facelift now here with the Mercedes C-Class offers a new design on the headlamps. You can get LED now, and they are standard with the coupe and the convertible, optional for sedan and the Estate. And optional, you can not only pick the normal LED, but also the multi-beam LED we see here for the high beam range that is even more increased. You can see here when the big Mercedes star is not there, the sensors are hidden right there under this platform. Otherwise, they can hide it between the black parts on the inside of the Mercedes badge. Would you go for the sporty front grille or here for the classic, typical Mercedes one? And just a close-up here for you to see this light sculptural work, I think very beautifully done. But by the way, the base for Estate and sedan are still halogen headlamps. And yeah, I would always be afraid that someone rips this off. You could see it's a little bit flexible here to the front, but again, there's always a danger that some idiot breaks it and steals it. And I mean, yeah, it's a behavior that's quite common, but you know, also one of the reasons why so many other customers went for the integrated star now. 4.70 m or 15'4" is the total length of the Mercedes C-Class. Here the Estate still has a dynamic shape, so to say, with a shoulder line right there. And I think for an Estate it looks really very nice. Of course, some really prefer the Estate. Visual-wise I prefer the coupe, but still I think it's a very decent design here, especially with the chrome frames. You can also get this night package when you prefer it in black. 18-inch rims, those ones are optional here in a sporty design scheme, so they also fit the red color for sure. And the door handles here below that, you have a design dropping line, but they more use a round shape for the overall design. What do you think? In the rear, the facelift also offers an update of this LED schematics right there. Looks a little bit more modern. Overall, the Estate model there again follows those round functions. The C200 engine, soon talk about more of that. Mild hybrid engine. And then the lower part, this is, it's not real fake exhaust, but it's a design element that is somehow mimicking exhaust pipes. I think that's still okay. And, when you have chrome in the lower part and the upper part, still somehow fits to the overall design setup. Or what do you think? The C-Class offers so many different engines, it's kind of confusing. A 2-liter diesel, a 1.6-liter diesel, a 4-liter petrol engine, 3-liter, 2-liter. Well, and then there's the 1.5-liter new petrol engine with 84 horsepower plus 14 horsepower EQ boost. That's the 48-volt board net mild hybrid technology. So you have a bigger battery basically on board. Not as big as with a true hybrid, but bigger than a normal car battery would be. Let's take a look at the interior together. There are new wood trims available for the interior. You can see this is the matte dark wood trim, very beautifully done. Then leatherette on top, so great build quality. Here also leatherette arm handles, plush materials, galvanized window buttons. There's still some room left here at the inside of the doors. This is the button there for opening the hatch from here. Then take a look at this new interior setup on the cockpit. Digital gauges, soon more details to that. Again, sporty forms here on top of that, wrapped tightly. Then those seats. Here the optional animal skin equipment, but already some sporty setup as for the seat form. You have different really cool surfaces available. In the US you can also get, of course, you know, just a sedan, but then again it counts for the seat surface as for beige, white and black MB-Tex. That's MB-Tex in US, or Artico in Europe. That's the very high grade leatherette they're offering. In UK you can get the Artico in black and beige on the seat. And in Germany it starts with fabric seats as a base, or you can also pick a mix, then would be fabric, so Stoff in Germany, fabric on the inside and leatherette on the outside. Or then for everyone the AMG line is Dynamica microfiber on the inside and Artico leatherette on the outside. That's my sporty tip for today. Let's get inside with the shoe tab. And the C-Class, no matter if sedan or estate or whatever, offers good seating position even for taller people, especially if you have no panoramic roof. There's even more headroom like this. Although I'm 1.86 m or 6'1", and all you have to seat put a little bit higher just to have a little bit more upright angle. So good also for long motorway travel. The electric seat control is here at the inside of the doors. You've just seen that. Also the front part here of the seat has an electric control that you can put inside or more far out, especially for taller people. So really like the seating position here, and can also change the steering wheel with an electric control like this. So of course with the base seat variants and stuff, more as manual, then you can go with those options. And yeah, even if a C-Class starts at about 35,000, you can easily top it up. You know, with premium cars you can, you know, easily double a price if you want. And if you pick a mid-size spec'd one, maybe 45, 50,000, yeah, it's pretty expensive, but also not uncommon for the mid-size segment in the premium market. Interior overview, again this sporty touch here, wrapped tightly with this edge as well. Then aluminum inlet right there. The middle console now features this matte wood. Really feels nice, doesn't leave any fingerprints, and a good choice alternative to this so far. You know, was only available with this black shiny surface like here, and that collects fingerprints and scratches. The steering wheel has also been redesigned, especially here with the thumb control on the right for the right screen and the left thumb for the left screen. All digitalized right now with the facelift. That's optional. It starts with 5.5 on the left, just a small one with analog then on the outside parts and this small screen inside, and on the right part with a 7-inch. Then this one the optional 10.25 inch, and on the left side the optional 12.3 inch. So here in the C-Class the screen is still not touch. You control it with a central turning knob in the lower part. You have a nice map really, but I'm not super happy with the map software. Sometimes it misled me. Then the telephone can be connected via Bluetooth, or also the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto is available. And when you pick that, you can still hear the music and use GPS from the car system. That would be very important for me. It has a good resolution, this screen, so overall okay with the system. But also from the menu structure, it's not that intuitive, I have to say. Of course, a lot of functions you can still pick here, also as for the climatization, like the style, and they always have really nice pictures in the middle part. Those digital instruments offer you more flexibility. You can have the GPS map in the middle part, for example. There, as I didn't have any destination, just showed the compass basically. You can have your phone information, call someone, you can check the settings of a head-up display, for example. And you also have different styles for the gauges. You can change them according to your wishes, have those 3 different styles. For the head-up display, you can change the brightness, for example. You all do that in the digital instruments. You can also change the position depending then on your height. That's also a good solution. And also what you want to see actually, like the allowed speed, the current speed, or also then you get GPS information when you have a route selected. I'm talking about the route. You can also, for example, have it here on the right side of the digital instruments, so pretty flexible again. The climate unit is still separate here with making it colder or warmer. Good to have that. You can easily control also then while driving. Again, this nice matte wood, one of my favorite features in this vehicle. And this cover here also then covers the adaptive cup holders as well as a smartphone, either with inductive charging pads right in the front there, or right here I connected with the cable for the Apple CarPlay. This USB slot in the front is exactly then for this connection. They can also see the according symbol. Next to using your thumbs to control the infotainment system, you can still use it with the central turning and pressing knob. This one you have to lift the air suspension, the optional one, up if you have some obstacles. This is the drive mode selector. I'll talk about the drive modes when we take a look closer at the driving part later on. And this is the separate camera button also for the automatic parking feature. And the camera system is really fancy, as you can see here. Great resolution, drone view from above in this optional top spec trim. Then you can just choose the wide angle rear or then the side for protecting your alloys, or in the front, or the wide angle front. This would then be the parking feature that the car searches for its own parking spot and then automatically parks in and out. But usually I just do it myself. For the middle console is always a nice solution to have this central knob and then this folding up mechanism. And here inside you have 2 more USB supplies, and those are just for charging and not for connecting your phone. Getting in the rear is of course always really exciting in those mid-sized cars. Here they have an advantage that they have shaped the back part of the seat the way that the knees exactly fit there, because here in the middle part it would not. But on the outside my knees do fit. It's not the specialty of this very vehicle to have the most legroom in the rear. So again, it is basically standard for the segment, especially in the premium competition right there. But of course there are other cars which have more legroom. Volkswagen Passat, for example, and of course, yeah, Skoda Superb has like this legroom. Audi A4 and BMW 3 Series are not really that much better right there. I think the A4 has a little bit more legroom. It should have more legroom considering the length, I think. Headroom, of course, this is totally okay, even for me. And the side part here is actually quite voluminous, so that narrows the area here a little bit for the shoulders. So overall, not the biggest fan here of the comfort in the rear part. And I turned the engine on, that you can see here that you optionally can get also an AC for the rear seats with temperature and vent control. Other than that, you have the ISOFIX for the child seats at the outside seats. And the middle armrest can be folded open, and you also have some cup holders right there. And since this is a rear-wheel driven car, either rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, you can see the middle tunnel is that huge that sitting on the middle part seat is not realistic for an adult. Let's look at the hatch together. So you have also a foot opening mechanism, other than that you press the lower button or at the key. Then you have a nice floor mat, for example. You could also change it on the other side. It's just an option. And you can also go with a normal floor, and you have, for example, here a shopping basket foldable underneath. And well, good dimensions. This is the big advantage here of the Estate. And here an automatically folding up cover. That's also a handy solution. It goes down and automatically, but you can also totally remove it. And here with those buttons you can release the rear seats, and then you have the maximum loading volume with an even surface. Really cool. And just to show you the dimension with the cabin trolley, here we go. You can also put it upright, of course, if you like. What's up guys, Thomas's driving lounge today with the C200 and the Mercedes C-Class as the so-called T-Modell, T-Modell or Estate. Well, I'll tell you something about the differences. Sedan coupe convertible estate, because now I've driven all 4 of the C-Class facelift models, and also about this new C200 engine, because it has this mild hybrid. And I can see it here in the digital displays. This is also one reason to maybe go for it. While driving, by the way, they are quite pleasant to look at. It's a very crystal clear display, also with this blue atmosphere, blue mood it is creating. It's very clear to read, digital speed, and also then this digital visualization of the old analog instruments. I really like it, although I still would also be happy with the classic analog ones. So it's always the question if you want to pay the extra price. So with this EQ boost or EQ charge, then you have this mild hybrid system. That means you recuperate some energy, although you're not driving a real hybrid or real electric vehicle, and the energy is then used, for example, for systems the car is running, or also for some acceleration boost, with then supposed to put the consumption a little bit lower. And always when I lift my foot off the throttle, and especially when I hit the brakes or so, then I see this charge, let's say, area running full, so I can see how much the car is recuperating. Especially in city traffic, it might make sense, and I've already completed some first test rides and tried to bring the consumption as low as possible on the motorway. That ended up with about 7 liters on 100 kilometers, and now we're about 7.5 with some more city traffic. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad, but I would have wished it would be a little bit lower, since I was really looking forward to this C200 Mild Hybrid. For a mid-sized vehicle, this is actually quite normal as for the consumption. If you compare it, for example, with an Audi A4 Avant, Holger has one, and therefore basically in a long-term driving test. And the consumption is quite equal, also with a equal power petrol engine. This is, by the way, a warning here from the blind spot monitor. It's a useful system. As soon as I use the turning indicator, the warning is not only visual but also acoustic when the car is next to me. Other than that, I just get a red warning triangle there in the side mirrors. I can show you that, because this guy is obviously speeding now. The red triangle is speeding. If I want to use the turning indicators, also acoustic warning. The blind spot monitor is one of the features you should go for. A basic autonomous emergency brake is standard with the C-Class. That's good. Then you can also extend it. I would also go for that one. And then the blind spot monitor, the best systems. And then the ACC, the adaptive cruise control. Well, here it's called Distronic. Has now, with the C-Class facelift, moved from the separate shifting column you have here at the steering wheel head onto the steering wheel. It's actually a little bit easier to use now. I think it's a good decision to do that, and one of the best systems on the market. Here also this lane keeping assist we have here, so this is packed with all the assistance systems, is working very smoothly. So we talked about in the Touareg review, sometimes those systems overreact a little bit, but here I have it activated at the moment and I still have very natural driving feeling. Some corrections are being made when I'm getting too close to the side of the road, but overall I'm very happy with that here. By the way, funny finding, when you drive with the star there in the front, you always see it also when driving, and it makes the car somehow more special. You immediately somehow get the feeling, yeah, I'm driving less sporty, I'm driving more elegant, I'm more something. And of course, it always reminds me of the past. This old Mercedes we used to own, the 123, that was really something. So somehow still special. Hardly anyone does that anymore with the figures or with the logos on the very top. Why not, if you really like it? But of course, if you want it a little bit sportier, then you put the big star in the very front. So with the facelift here, they Did some tweaks here and there, didn't change super much. Overall, you can say that the sound installation is really good. Here at lower speeds you hear nothing from the outside, also among the best in the mid-size segment, together with Audi. We will of course eagerly await the new performance of the BMW 3 Series, the all-new generation of that one. We have already presented to you in a static review. Soon we'll head the motorway with this one, and then we can test the sound installation at a little higher speed. The steering feel for Mercedes is usually rather natural, not too progressive, so you have to steer a little bit more than, for example, with an Audi A4. And there you can especially pick the progressive steering, an additional one that's even more progressive. Progressive means here, for example, you see I have to turn the steering wheel sharper than the actual corner is, and some people rather prefer that the steering is not reacting so much and it's a rather natural feeling. For me, I like a little bit sporty, a little bit more progressive, that they have to steer a little bit less and be a little bit more precise in the steering handles. But overall, it's still a good car to feel and to handle. You can pick the different driving modes. At the moment I'm in the Eco mode, that the EQ charge is also working. For example, now I'm going downhill, just leave my foot off throttle, it's charging a little bit. As soon as I apply some brakes, now the charging is maximum possible. And after that, of course, long brakes also being applied. So you can save some fuel with that. Also showing me this eco score, telling me about 1 kilometer I already saved just now on this very short trip. Very interesting. And you can also change the driving modes to some other modes, like the comfort mode, where this optional air suspension we've inbuilt here is set on the most comfortable mode, together same with the eco mode. The suspension is just superb. I mean, air suspension in mid-size segment, that's really cool. Of course, again, coast intensive. If you want the most comfort, it is also an option you should think about. So this is giving me a very good ride. It's not that you would be flying in the air than with some of the very soft air suspension. It is rather sporty already for a base model. And then you can also adapt it a little bit or use this pumping up function if you see some, there's some like light off-road situations and you need more ground clearance. You just press it here, even it's staring in the traffic light, and you also hear that hear the way it working, and then the car's going a little bit up, and now it's feeling very weird because it's a little bit higher. Of course, the suspension is rougher in a way because you lose spring travel. Can we talk about spring travel when we have an air suspension? And that's maybe an own subject to discuss, but you know what I mean. So let's go the normal down mode again, and we can also put it to sport mode. Then we can turn up the gears even higher, car shifting up later and shifting down earlier. We'll also test it with the acceleration on the motorway. So you still have a choice, because the C200 here, I mean, with the 1.5 liter of displacement, it's not the most powerful engine. It doesn't come so naturally when you're driving slowly, but you can always use the shifting pedals to go a gear down to have some more acceleration, or in the sport mode, then this will also give you a better acceleration and it's more harmonious. So from 0 to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour, it is about 8 seconds. That's still totally enough. So you actually do not need a stronger engine for a C-Class in general for most of the purposes. And I'll also show you how it is then acceleration-wise on the motorway. So if you drive it calmly, you sometimes feel, really relaxed and stuff. But you can definitely also drive it in a sporty way. You can also go to the Sport Plus mode. Rear-wheel drive, of course, for this vehicle, standard for the C-Class. There are also all-wheel drive models available, of course. So even uphill now, no problem, but let's put it to 60 kilometers an hour and accelerate through to 100. Oh, that's it. You heard it at first that the car wanted to even lower gear. If I would have done it manually, it would be even faster, but you can see you still got an abundance of power reserves if you really need them. So yes, the size of the engine is enough. The mild hybrid system is also not too bad. I would have wished it could do a little bit more, so I would say it's nice, but to me it's not a super game changer. It is maybe for them in the fleet consumption, because on paper it does even more, and it was the same with the bigger cars we've been testing with Mercedes and Audi with the mild hybrid system. They do that because they save a lot on fuel on paper, brings down the fleet consumption of the whole brand, and then they pay less, for example, for those CO2 certificates. So that's the reason behind it. Is it really super useful for the customer? Not super useful, maybe a little. But again, so the test result here is really that, again, it's okay, but it's not a game changer. So that's the verdict here for me. But still, the C-Class is a super decent ride here in the mid-size segment. It's also one of my favorite Mercedes because it is somehow in the middle of everything. It's not too long, but it's not too tiny. It already offers a great comfort for taller people, and you can have longer motorway rides, and you're still really relaxed when you arrive at your destination. Then, especially as the estate here, you can do so much with it. Still good loading capacity and stuff. Whoa, those are really slow here. Damn, I want to get before the truck. We just let them drive for a second, because then I want to take the next roundabout a little bit faster. Getting off the motorway now, more towards countryside routes. And we have some agility test. The sedan doesn't feel different from the estate to drive. That doesn't make any difference. The coupe and the convertible are of course a little bit different chassis wise, so they have a little bit sportier touch for sure. Good acceleration, even uphill. The engine noise are really minor. You can see again the turning of the steering wheel, but still the car conveys a good feeling when driving it overall. That truck is really quite fast around those corners here too. So overall, it is a very likable driving feeling the C-Class is always conveying, and there's hardly much to criticize with this very vehicle. That's, I think, also one of the key factors here. So they improve the small things bit by bit by bit. That truck is obviously a truck reviewer and wants to do the same reviewing sequence here than I do. Maybe I should stop in and, give him a handshake and say, hey, what's your video? Because otherwise no one gets off the... Yeah, okay, turning in another direction. That was quite fast there as well. People racing nowadays, even when just 100 is allowed. So we're getting off here, now we're getting a little bit faster off, that I can still also hammer the brakes at the lower part. Getting such a confident ride and silent ride, also now at higher speeds. Good sound insulation. Now I'm hammering the brakes a little bit harder. Good control here, also keeping the track, knowing where I want to go. So in every single little discipline, the C-Class is, maybe not the super most best in segment in every way, but among the best for sure, and just satisfies me in all the different aspects I could theoretically test with the vehicle. What's also nice, by the way, if you want some of the assistance systems deactivated, just left of the steering wheel you can hit the buttons and then they're deactivated. That's also a cool thing to do. And those nice new wood trims, they also please me while driving. Standing at this traffic light here and then looking at some of those matte wood trims, I would really go for that. Also satisfied with the seat form when driving longer now. I do have more comfort than in a Mercedes A-Class. In a Mercedes E-Class, yes, you have even a little bit more comfort, but then again, there's a big price difference. If you have missed that, we did on the Paris Motor Show as well, did a special episode. A-Class sedan versus C-Class versus E-Class versus S-Class. But of course, those comparisons also not only count for the sedans, but as well for the estate models. Well, there's a Seal A shooting brake somehow in A-Class estate model, but you know what I mean. So if you pick a sedan or estate, usually just makes a difference in the very rear end and not, how much room you have in the front and stuff, and infotainment and room in the rear. So you could really compare that in those episodes. Again, confident ride here. Also when I go some left and right, it's always fun to do it. But still, this C-Class gives you enough calmness in the drive. If you want it even sporty, you can go for one of the sports models. Our C43 review was also very interesting. There you had the sporty punch. We had great roads to drive there. Surely a lot of fun to drive. But I also enjoyed this one here with the powerful enough engine. Even if I would have wished it here to be a little bit more fuel saving with this new technology. But with the air suspension especially, it's always such a good ride. And then with the driving modes, you can always adjust it just a little bit as you like. Sporty, a little bit sportier and so on. But most of the time you try to relax, and this car is really used also for company purposes, for the long commutes. I think it's still a very, very suitable vehicle for that. Now to our conclusion for today with the Autogefühl here and the C-Class Facelift as an estate. Well, the classic look here with the star on top definitely still has something, although the other modern look is a little bit sportier. The estate remains the most versatile variant of the C-Class model lineup, because you can just put so much in the rear then. Maybe not the design favorite, but again the most useful ones for the most people that want to do so many things differently with the very vehicle. Overall, the car is still one of the best in the segment. It's not super spectacular for sure, it's a mid-size segment car, but it does everything just right. The interior has also a good design. Yeah, the screen setup, it needs a touchscreen, maybe not right now. New digitalization with a facelift that came right now, also with a head-up display. The room on the interior is quite okay. They have different seat surfaces choices. They are also quite decent, and also then the advantage to have more luggage capacity here with the estate model. Would you also go for the estate model? Tell us in the comments. The new C200 we tested here, it is enough power-wise with this petrol engine. However, I expect a little bit more usefulness of this mild hybrid system. It's not too bad, but it's also not a game changer, as I said. What do you think? Leave me your comments right there about this very vehicle, and also tune in to our other Mercedes C-Class reviews, please.